Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Kim Humphries, a company director whose specialist subject is the films of Tom Hanks. Pam Douglas, a retired finance officer who will be answering questions on the English composer Sir Edward Elgar. Claire Lowe, a medical editor whose subject is the influential Tudor noblewoman Bess of Hardwick. And Paul Riseby-Crisp, a performance director. His subject, the eclectic Icelandic singer and songwriter Björk. Tonight's winner will go through to the next stage, the semi-finals, and then, if they survive that grilling, maybe even through to the grand final and the chance to be crowned the nation's mastermind. Oh, they've been swatting day after day for months, and this is now their big moment. But the ticking clock, the pressure, and the black chair are enough to scramble the best of minds. 2 minutes of questions on their chosen specialist subject and a further 2.5 minutes on general knowledge are all that stand in the way of glory. So, good luck to them all. Now, let's ask our first contender to join us, please. Your name?
Kim Humphries.
Your occupation?
Company director.
And your specialist subject?
The films of Tom Hanks.
The American actor who won back-to-back Best Actor Oscars in the 1990s for Philadelphia and Forrest Gump. In 2 minutes, let's go. In Castaway, Chuck Noland is washed ashore on a desert island and has to remove one of his teeth using what item of footwear?
Skates.
Yes. Hanks's character in Sleepless in Seattle, Sam Baldwin, admits to his dinner companions that he cried at the end of which war film?
The Dirty Dozen.
Yes, at the end of Saving Private Ryan, when Captain Miller sees Allied fighter planes flying overhead, he likens them to what on our shoulders?
Spitfires.
No, angels. In Bridge of Spies, Hanks plays an insurance lawyer defending the Soviet spy Rudolf Abel in court. Several times he asks Abel if he's worried, and each time he gets what three-word response?
Would it help?
Yes. Hanks plays the title character in Captain Phillips, who, when his cargo ship is boarded by pirates, tells his crew to hide until he gives them what password?
Go.
No, supper time. In Sully, Hanks plays a real-life pilot who landed his damaged aircraft on the Hudson River, on which date in 2009 that a bartender later raises a toast to, calling it the best day of the year.
15th of January.
Yes, in Apollo 13, Jim Lovell steps out of a NASA simulator and tells his backup crew that's 3 hours of boredom followed by 7 seconds of what?
Joy.
No, sheer terror. In You've Got Mail, Joe Fox chats online with a woman calling herself Shop Girl, who tells him that she's read which novel about 200 times?
Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, in Catch Me If You Can, after the fraud detective Carl Hanratty, played by Hanks, finds out that the con artist he is chasing is getting married, he tells his colleagues to look for what surname in the newspaper engagement announcements?
Frank Allen.
No, Connors. What's the name of the diner in Road to Perdition, in which the mob enforcer Michael Sullivan first meets the sinister crime scene photographer Harlan Maguire?
Englewood.
Yes, Hanks's character in The Terminal, Victor Navorsky, needs a signature from which jazz musician to complete his father's autograph collection?
Benny Golson.
Yes, following a party at his flat, the lawyer Andy Beckett in Philadelphia listens to his favorite aria from the opera Andrea Chenier, sung by which famous soprano?
Maria Callas.
Yes, Maria Callas. And Kim, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've scored 8 points. And our next contender, please. Your name?
Pam Douglas.
Your occupation?
Retired finance officer.
And your specialist subject?
Sir Edward Elgar.
Yes, the prolific British composer born in 1857. In 2 minutes, let's go. The earliest known composition by Edward Elgar is a tune whose title includes the name of which Worcestershire village where he was born?
Broadheath.
Yes, in 1877, the young Elgar travelled to London to receive lessons from which celebrated violin teacher?
Politzer.
Yes, a short piece entitled Liebesgruß, which Elgar wrote for his fiancée Alice, later became a popular success when it was published under what French title?
Salut d'amour.
Yes, in the work known as the Enigma Variations, what name did Elgar give to the variation inspired by his friend August Jaeger?
Nimrod.
Yes, who conducted the poorly rehearsed 1900 premiere of Elgar's choral work, The Dream of Gerontius, after which Elgar remarked, "I always said God was against art."
Coates.
No, Hans Richter. What was the title of the one-act ballet based on the mythological story of Pan and Echo, which Elgar composed for a charity concert in 1917?
Spanish Lady.
No, The Sanguine Fan. Which Eton schoolmaster provided the lyrics that were added to the trio from Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance, March No. 1, to create the famous song Land of Hope and Glory?
Benson.
Yes. What nickname did Elgar give to the laboratory he set up at his Hereford home, where he performed chemistry experiments as a hobby?
The Ark.
Yes, Elgar was devastated by the death of his wife, Alice, and wrote few significant works thereafter, though in 1923 he was persuaded to write incidental music for what play by Lawrence Binion?
For the Fallen.
No, Arthur. Elgar disliked his fellow composer Charles Villiers, Stanford, and inserted what insulting variation on his name into the Demon's Chorus in The Dream of Gerontius?
Pass.
Which violinist, whom Elgar described as the most wonderful artist I have ever heard, performed Elgar's violin concerto on a gramophone recording made shortly after the composer's 75th birthday in 1932?
Menuhin.
Yes. On his deathbed, Elgar told a friend that if ever you're walking on the Malvern Hills and hear that, don't be frightened. It's only me. He was referring to a melody from which of his works?
Caractacus.
No, the cello concerto. And Pam, you had one pass. Elgar disliked his fellow composer and inserted an insulting variation on his name. It was Satanford.
Oh.
And at the end of that round, Pam, you've scored 7 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name,
Claire Lowe,
your occupation,
medical editor.
and your specialist subject.
Bess of Hardwick.
Yes, the Tudor noblewoman who became one of the richest and most influential women of the period. In 2 minutes, starting now. Bess married her first husband, whose surname was Barley or Barlow in 1543. What was his first name?
Robert.
Yes. What's the name of the property near Leicester belonging to the family of Lady Jane Grey, where Bess married her second husband, William Cavendish, in 1547?
Bradgate.
Yes. When Bess's fifth child, Charles, was born, Bishop Gardiner and Henry Grey stood as godfathers, with which member of the royal family acting as godmother?
Elizabeth I.
No, Queen Mary I. When Cavendish died in 1557, leaving Bess with a debt of £5,000, she wrote to which family friend saying, "I am now driven to crave your help. There is a bill in the Parliament House against me."
Cecil.
No, John Thynne. Bess was disappointed in her eldest son, Henry, and called him her bad son. Which of her properties did he inherit before it later passed to his younger brother, William?
Chatsworth.
Yes. Bessie's third husband, Sir William St. Low, whom she married in 1559, settled her outstanding debt to the Crown by paying a fine of what sum of money in return for a royal pardon?
£5,000.
No, £1,000. What was the name of St. Low's younger brother who resented Bess and immediately fell under suspicion when she became ill with symptoms that suggested poisoning?
Charles.
No, Edward. What was the name of the former tutor to Bess's sons who was investigated by the Archbishop of Canterbury under instruction by the Privy Council for spreading scandalous reports about Bess and her family?
Pass.
On her marriage to her fourth husband, the statesman and aristocrat George Talbot, Bess became a countess and used the initials ES. What did the S stand for?
Shrewsbury.
Yes. Which residence did Bess have to prepare for the arrival of Mary Queen of Scots when the Shrewsburys became her custodians in 1569?
Tutbury Castle.
Yes, when Bess married Shrewsbury, the couple also arranged for Bess's eldest son, Henry, to be betrothed to Shrewsbury's youngest daughter, although she was only a child at the time. What was her name?
Elizabeth.
No, Grace. Which master mason and architect did Bess choose to design her final major building project, Hardwick New Hall, as well as her tomb in Derby Cathedral?
Ward.
No, it was Robert Smithson. And Claire, you had one pass. The name of the former tutor to Bess's sons who was investigated by the Archbishop of Canterbury, Henry Jackson. And at the end of that round, Claire, you've scored 5 points. And our final contender, please. Your name?
Paul Riseby Crisp,
Your occupation?
performance director.
And your specialist subject?
Björk.
Yes, the Icelandic musician and actress. In 2 minutes, let's go. What was the name of the Icelandic art collective that Björk joined in 1986, from which her band, the Sugar Cubes, emerged?
Rocky Reykjavik.
No, bad taste. The Sugar Cubes released 3 studio albums between 1988 and 1992 and had 1 UK Top 40 single in that time, with what appropriately titled song from the Stick Around for Joy album?
Hit.
Yes, some of the vocals for There's More to Life Than This from Björk's first solo album debut were recorded in the toilets of which London nightclub?
The Milk Bar.
Yes, which poem by Björk, published in Details magazine, formed the basis for the lyrics to the song All Neon Like?
Luminescent.
No, Techno Prayer. At the 1994 Brit Awards, Björk performed a cover version of the Rolling Stones song I Can't Get No Satisfaction as a duet with which other singer?
PJ Harvey.
Yes, was the title of the short instrumental track on the Vespertine album that's performed on a specially commissioned music box.
Frosty.
Yes, Björk appeared in and composed the soundtrack for what 2005 film written and directed by her then partner, Matthew Barney?
Drawing Restraint 9.
Yes, Björk's book of sheet music published in 2017 is entitled 34 Scores for Piano, Organ, Harpsichord and what other instrument?
Celeste.
Yes, Short-Term Affair is a duet that Björk performed on the 1997 album Phenomenon with which comedy character created by Steve Coogan?
Tony Farino.
Yes, O thou that bowest thy ecstatic face, the first line of the song Mother Heroic, is taken from which poem by the American writer E.E. Cummings?
Pass.
The director Spike Jonze reportedly asked Björk to learn to tap dance for her appearance in the video for which single from the Post album?
It's Oh So Quiet.
Yes, Björk's first feature film role was as Margit, the daughter of a woman accused of witchcraft in which film directed by Nietzsche Keen?
The Juniper Tree.
Yes, Björk allowed her fans to select the tracks that appear on her 2002 Greatest Hits album, but she added which previously unreleased song herself?
It's in Our Hands.
Yes, It's in Our Hands. And Paul, you had 1 pass, O thou that bowest thy ecstatic face. It comes from the poem by the American writer E.E. Cummings, and it was Belgium. And at the end of that round, Paul, you've scored 10 points. And at the end of the specialist subjects round, let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place with 5 points, it's Claire. In 3rd place with 7 points comes Pam. In 2nd place with 8 points, it's Kim. And in 1st place with 10 points, it's Paul. So now the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Claire to join us again, please. So Claire, you start with 5 points. You now have got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. What word follows Dartmoor, Exmoor and New Forest in the names of 3 small breeds of horse?
Pony.
Yes. In which Italian city is the Vaporetto or water bus a key form of public transport?
Venice.
Yes. What 2-word term is used in hair care for the condition sometimes called trichoptilosis, characterized by damaged individual strands of hair that are frayed at the tip?
Split ends.
Yes. Which British political party was led from 1929 to 1956 by the former trade unionist named Harry Pollitt?
Labour.
No, Communist Party of Great Britain. Fino and Amontillado are types of what fortified wine?
Sherry.
Yes, when the tennis player Iga Swiatek won the women's singles title at the French Open in October 2020, she became the first winner of a Grand Slam singles title to come from which European country?
Czech Republic.
No, Poland. Which singer had UK #1 singles with Congratulations in the 1960s, We Don't Talk Anymore in the 1970s, and Mistletoe and Wine in the 1980s?
Cliff Richard.
Yes, the name of which city, one of the largest in China, is also a verb for the former practice whereby someone was tricked or forced to become a crew member on a ship.
Shanghai.
Yes, in what 1968 science fiction film does Jane Fonda play a space traveller who sets out to defeat the evil scientist Duran Durand?
Spaceman.
No, Barbarella. Each of the interior angles of a regular hexagon measures how many degrees?
45.
No, 120. In 2018, the British actor and playwright Kwame Kwei-Armah became the artistic director of which London theatre known for supporting new and emerging talent?
Young Vic.
Yes. Which palindromic word means midday?
Noon.
Yes. Which comedian won the 2020 series of Strictly Come Dancing with his professional dance partner, Oti Mabuse?
Chris Ramsey.
No, Bill Bailey. What name, a contraction of the German word Stammlager, meaning base camp, was given to the prisoner of war camps set up by Germany during the Second World War?
Stalag.
Yes. What name is given to the sport of motorcycle racing on a specially designed oval-shaped track?
Motocross.
No, Speedway. The mugger is an alternative name for the marsh or broad-snouted species of what large reptile?
Komodo dragon.
No, crocodile. Joanna is a slang term for what musical instrument?
Piano.
Yes. What nickname, in part from the dark-coloured tartan of their uniforms, was given to the companies of soldiers raised in 1725 to keep the peace between warring Scottish clans, but which subsequently became part of the 42nd Royal Highland Regiment?
Black and tan.
No, the Black Watch. And Claire, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you now have a total of 15 points. Next up, let's have Pam again, please. Pam, you start with 7 points. The score to beat, as it stands, is 15 points. Plenty of time, and you've now got 2.5 minutes of general knowledge. Let's go. In angling, what's the four-letter term for worms, grubs, or crickets attached to the hook to lure fish to it?
Bait.
Yes. Which Labour politician succeeded John Major as UK Prime Minister in 1997 and served in the role until 2007?
Blair.
Yes. The tin or telltale is a narrow line that extends along the bottom of the front wall of the court in which racket sport?
Squash.
Yes. Which Indian author won the 1997 Booker Prize for her novel The God of Small Things?
VJ.
No, Arundhati Roy. Which group had UK hit singles in the mid-1980s with Robert De Niro's Waiting, Venus and Love in the First Degree?
Bananarama.
Yes, until it was officially renamed in 1948. What temperature scale was known as the centigrade scale?
Fahrenheit.
No, Celsius. What 2020 television series by the Oscar-winning director Steve McQueen centres on the experiences of London's West Indian community in the 1960s, 70s and 80s?
Desmond's.
No, Small Axe. Car ferries are often referred to by the acronym RoRo. In this context, what does RoRo stand for?
Roll on, roll off.
Yes. What was the first name of the Welsh artist, the sister of the painter Augustus John, who is famous for her 20th century portraits of women such as Dorelia in a black dress and Chloe Borton Lee?
Elizabeth.
No, Gwen. Which real-life Texas judge, the self-appointed law west of the Pecos, has been played in films by both Walter Brennan and Paul Newman?
Jackson.
No, Roy Bean. Between 1349 and 1830, the eldest son and heir of the King of France was given what title?
Dauphin.
Yes. What's the basic unit of currency of New Zealand?
Dollar.
Yes. In Judaism, what Hebrew name, which translates as daughter of the commandment, is given to the coming-of-age ceremony for a girl and is the female equivalent of a bar mitzvah?
Bat mitzvah.
Yes. In the symphonic fairy tale Peter and the Wolf by Prokofiev, which animal is represented by the clarinet?
A wolf.
No, the cat. Which East African country was formed in 1964 when the islands of Zanzibar were united with the mainland country of Tanganyika?
Tanzania.
Yes. A Rehoboam champagne bottle holds the same as how many standard-sized bottles?
2.
No, 6. Which of the 9 muses of Greek mythology, whose name means beautiful voiced, was the mother of Orpheus?
Cleo.
No, Calliope. What word from the 16th century for a tribute paid, I've started so I'll finish, to Scottish chieftains by farmers in return for protection is now used in law for a payment or benefit that's extorted by threats, for example, to reveal an incriminating secret?
Bribe.
No, blackmail. And Pam, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you have a total of 16 points.
Thank you.
And let's have Kim again, please. So, Kim, you start with 8 points. The score to beat as it stands is 16 points, and you've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. In a common expression about the consequences of one's actions, it's said that you can't make an omelette without breaking what?
Eggs.
Yes, by tradition, general elections in the UK are held on which day of the week?
Thursday.
Yes. What name is given to a defensive, steep-sided trench that surrounds a castle or other fortified building and was typically filled with water?
Moat.
Yes. At the 2021 Brit Awards, which American singer, born in West Reading, Pennsylvania in 1989, became the first female winner of the organization's Global Icon Award?
Beyonce.
No, Taylor Swift. Which magazine, launched in 1991, is sold on the streets of British towns and cities by homeless people to give them an opportunity to earn an income?
The Big Issue.
Yes. What Netflix series, released in December 2020, is a period drama set in Regency-era London and based on a series of novels by Julia Quinn?
Bridgerton.
Yes. The Dome of the Rock, an Islamic monument built in the 7th century, is in which Middle Eastern city?
Jerusalem.
Yes. What French word that can mean together is used in English to refer to a group of actors or musicians who perform together?
Ensemble.
Yes. Which Birmingham-born poet whose collections include City Psalms, Proper Propaganda and Talking Turkeys publicly declined an OBE in 2003?
Jeffariah. Nanriah.
No, Benjamin Zephaniah. The National Library of Wales is in which Welsh coastal town?
Cardiff.
No, Aberystwyth. Which British actor earned a Best Actor Oscar nomination for his portrayal of Alan Turing in the 2014 film The Imitation Game?
Raymond Chandler.
No, Benedict Cumberbatch. Cardiac activity can be reduced by drugs that restrict the stimulation of receptors that increase activity. What's the common generic name for these drugs which are used to treat a number of heart conditions?
Statins.
No, beta blockers. What word follows carrion and hooded in the common names of two species of black-coloured bird native to the British Isles?
Hawk.
No, crow. Which river, a tributary of the Trent, flows through the city of Leicester?
Ouse.
No, the River Soar. Which fence on the Grand National course at Aintree is named after a horse who is said to have reared up and corkscrewed himself over it in the second running of the race in 1840?
Beecher's Brook.
No, Valentine's Brook. Graphology is the study of a person's character based on what?
Their handwriting.
Yes, a series of paradoxes including the one that Achilles, no matter how fast he ran, would never catch a slower-moving tortoise, is named after which 5th century BC Greek philosopher?
Oedipus.
No, Zeno. The comic character, I've started so I'll finish, Sir John Falstaff, who appears in Henry IV Part 1 and Henry IV Part 2, and whose death is described by Mistress Quickly in Henry V, also appears in which other Shakespeare play?
The Merry Wives of Windsor.
It is The Merry Wives of Windsor. And Kim, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've now got a total of 17 points. And finally, let's have Paul again. So, Paul, you start with 10 points. The score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is Kim's 17. And you have 2.5 minutes, starting now. From 2007 to 2012, Nicolas Sarkozy served as president of which European country?
France.
Yes, the actors Jason Donovan, Guy Pearce and Jesse Spencer rose to fame after playing regular characters in which Australian television soap?
Neighbours.
Yes, a fairy tale entitled The Ichabod, published in book form in 2020, is a best-selling children's book by which author?
Charles Darwin.
No, J.K. Rowling. Which Scottish group fronted by Stuart Braithwaite achieved their first UK #1 album in 2021 with As the Love Continues, 25 years after the release of their debut single?
Belle and Sebastian.
No, Mogwai. What reddish-brown colour used to describe the coat of a horse that lacks the black mane and tail of a bay is named after a tree of the genus Castanea?
Chestnut.
Yes, after the former British protectorate of Nyasaland in southeast Africa gained independence in 1964, it became known by what new name?
Ghana.
No, Malawi. The annual music awards known informally as the Ivors are named after which Welsh composer and actor-manager?
Ivor Novello.
Yes, the Potteries Museum and Art Gallery is in which English city?
Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes, one of the moons of Jupiter is named after which Trojan youth who was deemed so beautiful that the gods transported him to heaven to become Zeus's cupbearer?
Io.
No, Ganymede. Who was appointed as Ireland's rugby union head coach after the end of the 2019 Rugby World Cup?
Woodward.
No, Andy Farrell, in a series of mystery stories written by various authors under the pseudonym Franklin W. Dixon and published from 1927. What's the surname of the crime-solving brothers called Frank and Joe?
Smith.
No, Hardy. Dialysis is a procedure to remove waste products and excess fluid from the blood to simulate the work of which pair of organs?
Kidneys.
Yes. In the Star Trek television and film franchise, Mr. Spock was born on which fictional planet?
Vulcan.
Yes. A gilt is a young female specimen of which farm animal?
Horse.
No, pig. Which battle fought near Banbury in October 1642 was the first major engagement of the English Civil Wars?
Culloden.
No, the Battle of Edge Hill. What term was coined in the 1980s to refer to misleading publicity which aims to present an environmentally responsible image of an organization in order to cover up its unethical practices?
Greenwashing.
Yes. Which element has the chemical symbol Xe?
Xenon.
Yes. Several American First Ladies, such as Jackie Kennedy, Nancy Reagan, and Michelle Obama, were among the regular clients of which fashion designer, born in the Dominican Republic, who took over the Jane Derby label in the mid-1960s?
Manolo Blahnik.
No, Oscar de la Renta. And Paul, you had no passes at the end of that round. 19 points.
Thank you.
So let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 15 points is Claire. In third place with 16 points, it's Pam. In second place with 17 points, Kim. And in first place with 19 points, it's Paul, which means that he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. If you would like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us as ever at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
I applied for Mastermind because I enjoy casual quizzing, and it's something that I get quite competitive about sat on the sofa at home. So I wanted to see if I could put my money where my mouth was and actually compete.
Some of the vocals for There's More to Life Than This were recorded in the toilets of which London nightclub?
The Milk Bar.
Yes.
Celeste.
Yes.
The Juniper Tree.
Yes.
I think when my family and friends watch The Ones Who Know Me won't be too surprised that I know a lot about Björk. But some of them might be quite surprised because they don't realise how broad some of my general knowledge is.
The Potteries Museum and Art Gallery is in which English city?
Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes. Which element has the chemical symbol Xe?
Xenon.
Yes.
If I was to win Mastermind, it would just be, to be honest, ludicrous. There are amazing quizzes out there, and it would mean that I've really upped my game.